I was reviewing some information about today's topic, and I think it's rather informative and hopefully timely. It has something to do with real estate. I'll give you that teaser. Um, so you may ask, who is this guy going on and on about chauffeurs and teasers and such? I'm owner of DPO Surveillance Equipment, full service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support. We have perhaps the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent or lay away as well. We have 24/7, 365 tech sales and customer support. And I think we have the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent or lay away as well. In addition to that, we have a very extensive collection of articles and blogs and podcasts and demonstration videos that you can take a look at. They're all for free. They're all free, so no charges for that. And then we have, what else? The website is completely redesigned, by the way. For those of you who have seen it when it was in its prior state, you're going to, I think, notice or appreciate a noticeable improvement in the website. Its performance, how easy it comes up, how quickly it is to navigate and such. I think the developer did a very good job. He's currently working on integrating Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into the shopping cart payment choices. We decided it's time to stop feeding into the current fiasco that is the credit card and banking and traditional finance system. We want to get as far away from that as possible and offer customers the alternative to use Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies so that we can stop feeding the current system that's basically like a big, huge vampire sucking all the lifeblood out of the retail industry. I think we pay approximately $70 billion annually in the way of fees and such to the credit card companies, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, etc. That money could be plowed into hiring people, lowering costs across the board, savings and shipping, marketing, advertising. Basically, a lot of us could be expanding our businesses as compared to just paying a lot of money. So customers can have the privilege of doing chargebacks and disputes and unwinding transactions without any regards to whether or not there's any good reason for it. Basically, there's just a lot of overhead and a lot of BS associated with the traditional finance system. So we want to get rid of some of the abuses and some of the chaos and confusion and get back to a place where we're able to have hopefully average everyday low prices and again use that money to hire people, expand our businesses and such. Let's see, in addition to that, well, because I tell you flat out, I had a transaction, for instance, where a customer wanted to spend $30,000 on a particular product, and the bank shied away from processing that transaction because they thought it was too risky to put on a credit card at the time. And I had to unwind the transaction temporarily, at least to get another payment choice for the customer. And it's just kind of weird when someone, bank or credit card company, tells you they're not going to process a transaction for you, even though I'm the one who ultimately, generates the sales, does the marketing, does the advertising, and if they want to get in the middle of my transactions, then they got to be responsible. They got to just know what they're doing, right? Or not. I mean, when you get a big transaction like that, that's the whole purpose of running a business, so you can process it and make money. But anyway, when we start using Bitcoin, we won't have to worry. It could be $30,000, it could be $30 million, and we won't have to worry about someone getting in the way of it. who are you sending it to, what country you're sending it to, what are they going to use it for, all these stupid questions and all of this bullshit that people get used to. We won't have to worry about it anymore. Hopefully we'll operate in a totally different, new environment. So what else is going on? Let's see. Can't think of anything else right off. Let's see. Today's topic. What is today's topic? I think today's topic is called Freddie Mac. What is it? Freddie Mac. Where is it? Freddie Mac joins rental home boom. Again, Freddie Mac joins rental home boom. Now, let me put this in the proper context. Freddie Mac. Well, this is about Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, actually. I don't know why they just say Freddie Mac joins the rental home boom when Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are taking their government, newly printed government money, toilet paper, fiat currency money, just, that they have access to a cheap money, basically that they get free of charge because the government prints out money whenever they want to. And it just so happens that Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, two of the most key players in the 2008-9 mortgage bust, they're actually back at it again because they're quasi government institutions. In other words, they're neither private institutions nor are they completely publicly owned institutions or publicly ran institutions like corporations on Wall Street, like Microsoft and Apple and those guys that have to abide by securities regulation and such. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, they don't have to worry about being completely under the control of the SEC, nor are they completely overseen by government regulators. There's some strange hybrid that's allowed to exist for the sole purpose of dodging rules and regulations that a lot of other companies have to abide by. And this is what caused the real estate fiasco in 2008-9 in the first place, because these idiots, basically what they do is they make sure that the taxpayers pick up the bills when Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae get into trouble when they're securitized loans for the real estate industry. And when things go bust, again, taxpayers pick up the bill and investors get the opportunity to get all the profits. So again, make sure you guys understand, we don't care if it's the post office, we don't care if it's Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. When it's a quasi-government type of institution like this, the whole purpose of that entity is to make sure that investors get compensated when the shit hits the fan. And taxpayers foot the bill for all this gambling and speculation done by these quasi-government organizations. So it wasn't bad enough that Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae drove the country into a recession in 2008 and 9 by securitizing bogus real estate mortgage loans and such. I mean, when they packaged a lot of those loans, the valuations for the homes and properties were were substantially overpriced and overappreciated, and that a lot of the paperwork, as we found out, was totally forged and made up and contrived. And now, instead of having those two entities, they're supposed to wind them down, basically, under the Obama administration. The guy who runs Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae were supposed to wind down those operations, and they were supposed to be forced either to, completely change the way they operate so that they're totally private or totally publicly regulated like a regular company, traded on New York Stock Exchange or something, whether a Securities and Exchange Commission could oversee the way they operate and dictate what these companies can do and can't do. But that didn't happen. As you know, or may have guessed, Trump comes into office. The regulators totally changed and flipped on us. And now, instead of holding these guys responsible and winding down those operations of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, or causing them to dissolve or whatever, now they have a license to wreck the rental housing market, just like they wrecked the mortgage-backed market again in 2008 and 9, back when everyone suffered greatly to the tune of about $1 trillion as a result of that fiasco. So what's happening now is not only will you have securitized mortgages backed by bogus loans and bogus bogus appreciation in houses. In other words, where the values of the homes and the properties are made up and contrived. Now you're going to have loans that are backed up by rental payments that are overinflated, and the prices of the buildings and the houses are overappreciated as well. So if you know, when you thought you heard of everything, now they're going to securitize rental payments, where you make your rental payment on your home. Some moron from MIT or Stanford or Yale or somebody, they're going to figure out a way to securitize that and put it into a loan portfolio and sell that to the most stupid bidder out there. So Blackstone, Coventry houses or Coventry homes, or and some other companies now are going to be getting into this area with the endorsement of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, endorsing or backing these loans. So we already know how this is going to end, but I just want to let you guys know, home ownership, since it's becoming this mythological beast where very few people are going to actually be owning, since that's not working out so well, now they're taking a look at the rental market. So this is where we're going with this. The Uberization of the U.S. economy is taking a major turn for the worse, with the idea that not only are we not going to have more home ownership, but they're going to encourage more rentership, because that's the only game in town right now. These idiots have ruined everything else, and now Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, with the endorsement or with the partnership with Blackstone, one of the largest private equity firms on the planet, they're buying tons and tons of rental home units, and that's going to be the only game in town far as housing is concerned. Again, because home sales have slowed down to the point where there's not a whole lot of money to be made there. So now they're attacking the rental area. So first it was dominated, the home sharing and all that was dominated by Airbnb and some of these guys, and a lot of people, were served very well by Airbnb and such. But it looks like now the government, through Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, are taking a look at that as well. Let's see. The government-backed mortgage financing firm this month guaranteed a $509 million loan that helped Front Yard Residential Corporation, again, this company is called Front Yard Residential Corporation, an acquirer of rental homes, buy a rival. It also backed a $7.8 million loan that enabled Promise Homes Company, a mid-sized Atlanta landlord, to buy 117 houses in southern working-class neighborhoods. So again, Front Yard Residential Corporation bought a rival by going to Freddie Mac and guaranteeing a loan of $509 million. And this is pretty stupid, mainly because this free government money, it typically distorts. It does more harm than good. It distorts true home prices. It distorts all asset classes. Whenever you have free monopoly money and you put it into any market, it distorts the prices. So this is what happens, and this is what is going to happen, and is happening in the rental sector. If I can go to my printer, my copier printer, and print out massive amounts of money, cheap money, I can go out and buy a rival too, right? And that's going. But this is what completely distorts and messes up markets when these government entities use this money left over from quantitative easing to go out and allow other companies, real companies, to buy their rivals and also acquire more additional homes. Freddie Mac is a McLean-based company, okay? McLean, Georgia, McLean. The McLean, Virginia company already is the country's largest backer of apartment loans. The deal announced this month are part of its push to finance more rental home purchases as investors are seeking to put money to work in rental markets and as growth in the firm's traditional single-family home mortgage business has slowed. Investors said the move could help fuel the rental boom by keeping a lid on costs at a time when U.S. interest rates are broadly expected to rise. So read between the lines here. Again, Freddie Mac is justifying its meddling in this particular sector because it's saying that investors want to put money into this space. And besides, it's telling you right off that traditional single-family home mortgage business has slowed. So they're admitting that they wrecked the regular business of providing home loans for affordable home loans for people. Now they want to get into the rental area and screw that up as well. Having Freddie in the business will bring down the cost of capital over time, said Beth O'Brien, chief executive of CoreVest Finance, which lends to smaller landlords and bundles the debt into securities. Freddie Mac guaranteed $161 million of debt sold by CoreVest last year in its initial rental deal. So, yeah, CoreVest also is benefiting by having Freddie Mac guarantee loans. Again, taxpayers will foot the bill when this shit hits the fan. And as we go into another recession, which is due, any time now, if we're not there already, what's going to happen is Blackstone and CoreVest and Front Yard Residential Corporation are going to go to Freddie Mac and they're going to say, you know what, you need to make good on these loans. You need to bail out our investors, and the taxpayers will bail out the investors. And at the same time, taxpayers will get stuck with this liability, just like we got stuck in 2008 and 2009. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae is supposed to be its rival. They don't buy loans. I mean, they don't make loans, but they buy loans from lenders and sell them to investors as securities, guaranteeing that borrowers will make their monthly principal and interest payments. This scale and government backing typically allow them to borrow at lower rates than others. Well, of course you can borrow at lower rates than others. You're a quasi-government facility, right? The taxpayers are basically funding this fiasco. And you guys just have to realize, look, in the United States, there's more incompetent people with a whole lot of money doing a whole lot of stupid things. See, people who don't have a lot of money believe that more wealthy people, the more wealthy you are, the more smarter you are. But it looks like you better believe, you better figure out quickly that it's a lot of stupid people out there with a whole lot of money making a whole lot of stupid decisions. That's where you get the $1 trillion market collapses, whether it's in stocks, whether it's in real estate, whether it's in whatever sector. This is where you get the very, very big, gigantic problems that are deemed too big to fail or whatever, because this massive stupidity that takes place. Anyway, it looks like Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae are going to, again, they're telling you right there in the sentence, they're going to guarantee that borrowers will make their monthly principal and interest payments. And there's no way to do that except to make absolutely sure that someone picks up the bill when the shit hits the fan, and that's going to be the taxpayers, because investors are going to have these loans securitized, and no one will be able to tell who's paying what in rental payments or whether or not they're paying at all, because they'll be long gone packaged and sold off by then. There have long been millions of U.S. homes for rent, yet it wasn't until last decade's foreclosure crisis that investors were able to buy properties at prices and volumes necessary to make rental operations profitable. Though home prices in many markets have risen past their 2006 peaks, investors keep buying houses at a rapid clip. I bet that more Americans will rent rather than own. So again, these people are trying to take advantage of the idea that a lot of the activity right now is basically in the rental sector. You're going to be renting your homes, you're going to be renting your car, you're going to be renting your clothes, you're going to be renting everything. This doesn't bode well for America when no one is owning. See, the true wealth actually comes with ownership. You have to own something, okay? At the end of the day, when the shit hits the fan, and if the country goes into a recession, depression, or you just want to will your children something, put something in your will, usually that means you got to own it first. You just can't pass along a rental agreement. I mean, that doesn't really convey the type of wealth transfer that's typical of what America is all about. You know, when one generation can pass along something to the next generation to keep that subsequent generation from struggling and working hard, and like the first generation, right? The idea is you work hard, your parents work hard, pass along something to you that allows you to benefit from the hard work that they've already done. And I don't know if an Uberized sharing economy is exactly going to get us there. So anyway, moving right along. Let's see. Investors funded the buying spree by tapping private equity funds, negotiating bank loans, and selling short-term bonds backed by rents. The arrival of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae is an important endorsement for the business, as well as a move towards standardization of how it is financed, investors said. So make sure you understand what they're saying here. Negotiating bank loans, selling short-term bonds backed by rents. Okay, when you securitize rents, you're really asking for trouble, because it wasn't bad enough these idiots securitized mortgage payments. Some mortgage payments were backed by home loans where they were subprime, they were very inferior, they were very likely that they would come back in default. So when you're securitizing rental payments, I mean, America is a very transient type of place when it comes to rentership. People don't stay in rental units very long. If you securitize a loan based upon a rental agreement where people don't give a shit about staying in a unit very long, you're basically selling paper. You're selling nothing, because most renters are going to be in an apartment or a house for 6 months or a year if you're lucky, and then they're going to probably move on to somewhere else. I mean, come on, this is a very transient environment that we're in, and it's not getting any better. People rent because they want to move quickly, because they want to be on the go, because they don't want to be tied down, right? But if you're securitizing loans and selling to investors, and these investors actually think that this is reliable trust agreement, reliable form of payment that's going to be there for a while, somebody is not thinking clearly. What's going to happen again is these people are going to make a few payments on their new homes or apartments or something, rental payments, and they'll be gone as soon as the roommate gets a new job or gets married or moves out or whatever hell goes on when you're dealing with rental units. Freddie has required that at least 3/4 of the homes in each of his deals are affordable at 80% of the area, at the area's median income at the time of underwriting. Though front yard executives assured investors on a call last week that there is no limit to what the company can charge and rent for the 4,813 homes it posted as collateral over the life of the 10-year loan. Separately, Freddie this month began offering lower-cost financing to apartment owners who agreed to cap rent increases. So this particular paragraph contradicts itself in terms of what the interests are for front yard executives and that company versus what the interests are supposedly for Freddie Mac. Now, whenever someone tells you that my investors want to make sure that I can charge higher and higher rent, because that's what investors want. They want more and more income, right? They clearly say here, front yard executives assured investors on a call last week that there is no limit to what the company can charge and rent for the 4,813 homes it posted as collateral. Freddie Mac backed up this collateral, right? At the same time, Freddie Mac is talking about capping rent increases. So, you guys don't have to be Harvard graduates to understand you can't do both, okay? If I'm an investor in front yard and they're telling me that when we acquire these buildings and rent them out, that, you're going to be able to start off with a very low rent and end up with a very high rent, I'm going to be salivating. I'm going to be thinking I'm going to make a whole lot of money with front yard, right? But if Freddie Mac comes out in this paragraph and talks about capping rent increases, whatever, that you can't have both. So somebody's lying. So you guys need to read between the lines and understand these people somebody's going to get screwed here. And I can tell you it's not going to be investors. Front Yard didn't go into this deal with the idea that they won't be able to increase those rents from a very low level to a very high level. Okay, and anybody thinks that that's not true, they don't know anything about making money or investing or anything else, because investors typically are going to come out ahead, especially if the people on the opposite side of the table are taxpayers. Taxpayers always get screwed in these types of deals. Okay, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, excuse the noise, already demonstrated this to us in 2008 and 9 when we got stuck with that bill. That was about $1 trillion that you still owe money on, okay? Let's see. Fannie Mae. Fannie last year guaranteed about $945 million of Invitation's debt. This is a company called Invitation Homes, I think it's called. Invitation Homes debt in a deal that drew criticism from realtors and others who viewed it as support for rich institutions that compete with typical home buyers for the limited supply of houses in some of the country's top housing markets. So again, Invitation Homes is dealing with higher-end rental properties, and Freddie Mac is dealing with a little bit lower income type of properties. So between Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, who don't really compete against each other as compared to monopolizing the market, that's actually what they do. They monopolize the areas where they get into, because they're two sister quasi-government-owned organizations that basically rip us off. Both of them rip us off. They work together. They don't compete against each other. And Blackstone Group backs Invitation Homes, the country's largest pool of rental homes, with more than $82,000. It put up 7,204 houses as collateral for the Fannie loan. So again, this particular section, which I'll let you guys read for yourself, it lets you know clearly that Blackstone Group, a $1 trillion private equity firm, is putting up at least 7,200 houses as collateral for Fannie loans so that they can get into this business big time, particularly this deal with Invitation Homes. Let me see. Still, Freddie's affordability requirement will likely prevent it from financing homes for some of the country's largest rental home firms, such as Invitation Homes Incorporated, which tend to buy pricier homes. Invitation charged an average of $1,725 a month during the second quarter, compared with an average of $1,032 a month for the homes in Freddie's announced deal. So there's about $700 difference between what Freddie is doing with their homes when you buy rental home units through Freddie's program. You get somewhat more affordable homes at $1,032 as compared to $1,725 through Fannie Mae. So let me jump right here to the end. Fannie's and Freddie's involvement also marks a shift for regulators, which in 2012 blocked Freddie from bulk buyers of houses over concerns that banks wouldn't be able to compete with its cheap debt. This is probably the most revealing part of it, because they're clearly letting you know that regulators determine that cheap money in these real estate markets is going to disrupt and cause major issues. We call it mispricing, asset mispricing. When you have cheap money, newly printed out government fiat, toilet paper money going into any sector in tremendous amounts, where, I get to print out money and you don't, and I get to buy things and loan money and all this and you don't. So you're going to see major distortions, major issues when the dust settles from this latest fiasco. But I'll publish this podcast along with the article so you can see the details of it for yourself. But this is not very good for America. If everybody's renting houses and cars and shoes and clothes and everything else, and no one's buying, no one's accumulating assets, no one's preparing for, transferring wealth from one family, one generation to the other, then we're all vulnerable to these economic shocks where you don't actually have, the type of wealth that keeps you financially independent and makes you non-susceptible to idiots telling you what to do, how you can do it, and all that. But if you're renting and you never own anything, you never have title to anything, then you got a problem, basically. So anyway, this is Monty. I'm going to wrap up this session, and as I always say at the conclusion of every session, keep your eyes and ears open and be safe out there.